Hey guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
That's right. And it's time for us to shoot the flames, but this is a very, very special Shooting the Flames.
That's right. It's our 5th anniversary.
Are you quite sure?
Yes, we've been doing this for 5 years.
Not 6.
Not 6.
Okay. 5.
Yes.
5 years.
Yeah. And so actually the actual anniversary was actually today. Literally, I think yesterday or today.
I know. I saw it on my Facebook memories this morning.
It was the 5th anniversary, 5 years since we released Copycat.
What's the 5th anniversary gift? Is it paper?
I don't know. Mixed securities.
Credit card?
First.
Either way, I'll be expecting my gift once we stop recording the Shooting the Flames episode. It's ready, right?
Oh, yeah. It's in the mail.
Undeliverable. But no. I mean, like, I know every time we do an anniversary episode or around this time of year, we're always like, oh my gosh, can you imagine? Where do you believe? I don't know.
Yeah, because we were talking about this when we launched. It's like, where would we be at 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about 10 years or 2 years. We talked about 5 years.
Yeah.
And I envisioned us maybe like doing some live stuff or like going and like, doing some sort of like live session at one of the like horror festivals. But we are actually a very laid back podcast, so we're very reactive. So other than like just advertising the episodes as they drop, we basically only respond to comments from our listeners. We don't do any advertising. We don't do any like pushes for reviews other than asking for them in our episodes. Like we don't do pay Google or whatever else for like ads or anything like that. So this is just completely our growth organically.
That's right.
I think our first month we had like a couple of hundred listens,
mm-hmm.
and for month, and now per month we're getting past like 7,000.
And I mean, I feel like this organic growth is shown. I mean, because I was looking at the document for this Shooting the Flames, there's a lot. We have a lot of comments, a lot of questions, voicemails and things. I mean, so like we have a good solid listener base.
We do. And I feel like it's quality over quantity, right?
Exactly.
Which I like because we have really awesome patrons.
Yep.
With really awesome, thought-provoking voicemails, emails, comments across all social media and Patreon. And so it's really, really worth it to kind of slowly cultivate that community. Mm-hmm. And we're actually just planning on maybe having some sort of meetup and maybe live recording sometime in 2024.
That's right. I mean, I would like to. I mean, it doesn't have to be huge, In fact, I would like it to be a little bit more intimate, to get to know some people and then like meet people. So, I mean, as we get closer to things like the Overlook, right, we might just like go ahead and start planning it and just see who comes or who RSVPs and go from there, right? So, I mean, again, things happen, and I feel like we're not far off from where we saw ourselves 5 years ago, right? Like where we wanted to see ourselves 5 years from then.
I don't know what we thought it would look like. I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't think we're too far off from doing some sort of live recording or at least meetups and things like that. So I'm happy about it.
I was thinking, will I be comfortable with that level of celebrity?
And the answer is? Which is
slightly and very adjacently the same level of celebrity that I was 5 years ago. Yes.
Yes. I'm super very okay with it. I'm at the point in my life 5 years later where I feel like once I have my Film Flamers t-shirt on in the Target, people should walk up to me and be like, oh my God, do you know where the toilet paper is? Or something like that.
Robert? Tell me which movie to pick up in this bargain bin.
Oh, that's a grab bag. Jeez. But we do have a lot to talk about and cover in this episode. So do you want to get started?
Yeah, it's really like a blowout extravaganza of commentary.
It is. This commentary, sheer commentary everywhere.
Right. So yeah, starting with, we got a new review.
Oh, it's been a minute?
Yeah, right? It has. Yeah, and this is on Apple, obviously. And this is from Nimbly Wembley, and he says, can't get enough. I've been listening since 2023. Wait, I've been listening since the 2023 Overlook Film Festival, and now I'm going through their back catalog because I can't get enough. I look forward to starting every week with Robert and Chris, who are both funny, insightful, entertaining. I have learned to look at horror movies in a whole new way and can't wait to hear what they have to say about them or how they will crack themselves up over some random observation.
We don't laugh on this podcast.
No laughing.
It's a very serious podcast.
No.
Nimble Wembley. Thank you for that review, though. It's been a minute. We're always happy to get them. And I like it when people call us funny and insightful and entertaining. Because we are. If you would like to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, head over there. Give us that 5-star rating. Tell us why you like us. And we're going to read that on our next Shooting the Flames.
That's right. And at this point, I think as far as ratings are concerned, we're only about 18 away.
A handful.
From being eligible to be Rotten Tomatoes reviewers.
Oh my God. And that has to happen too. If anything, guys.
Because we have listens, we have everything else, right? Mm-hmm. It's just the reviews. For some reason, we're slow on the uptake for reviews compared to like basically every other podcast in the world.
It's because everybody listens to us on Spotify.
That's true. And I wish more would go off of that.
So 18 reviews is not that much, guys. Even if you don't use an iPhone, you can go to Apple on the internet.
Yeah. And this will actually answer a later question later in the episode from one of our listeners.
Oh, good.
Which is like, do I have to have an Apple device? And the answer is no. You can download the iTunes app on your Windows desktop or laptop or whatever. Otherwise, I think you can download iTunes on Android. Maybe not. No. Apple Music.
Download Apple Music. I don't know if podcasts are in there. Yeah. Apple Podcasts is a separate app.
Yeah, I think, Apple Podcasts might be a separate app or Android, but I do know for a fact that you can get iTunes on your desktop.
Yep.
So if you were so inclined and wanted to, put that many calories into reviewing us, awesome. That's how you can do it.
Please and thank you.
If you do not have an Apple device, otherwise, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Review us wherever you see fit. Spotify, wherever there's a review opportunity or a rating opportunity, give us a 5-star review. If there's something to write in, write us a piece of how much you love us, and we will read that on the next Shooting the Flames.
That's right. So just any way you can. We like it.
We love it.
But let's get into some comments too, which is easy for everyone to do, right? If you want to. So the first round of comments are coming from our deep dive into the ring from last month. And Dave over on Instagram said, Naomi Watts, ! Loved her since Tank Girl. Another highfalutin episode. Don't you know? Deke.
Yeah, I actually didn't know she was in Tank Girl. I've never seen Tank Girl.
I've seen Tank Girl, but I have not seen it in a long time, and I didn't realize that she was in it.
So I was like reading the synopsis for that because I was curious, and I was like, wait, did she play like Jet Girl or something, or like what did she play? And then also I was looking, and I was like, the premise, like the whole front premise of this reads exactly like Mad Max Fury Road.
Tank Girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the story beyond, like the premise sounds like this guy's been hoarding water, and it's like 10 years after a nuclear or the drought holocaust or something from a comet hitting the earth or something. So I don't know.
I watched that movie a lot when I was younger. In fact, there's a moment in that movie that I put into my early spank bank. It was one of my first deposits.
Oh.
My goodness.
Interesting.
I should watch it again.
1995. Never seen it.
Whew. I'm old.
Anyway, Jules 0808 over on Insta said, I saw this in the theater by mistake as an 11-year-old, and it traumatized me for months. Now it's one of my favorite horror films, along with the original.
Ooh.
Yep. So talking about The Ring.
Nikki over on Threads.
Wow. It's going to take some getting used to.
Right. Thanks for inspiring us to rewatch this. I couldn't remember much about the movie except the jump scares, but got a new appreciation for the plot. And now I'm very curious about the other versions.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a little bit more about that later. Obviously, we talked about in Ring and Ring 2 and our Ringu episode on Patreon.
Yep.
So if you want to look at that, especially the first Ring episode, we go into the entire franchise and how many there are.
Which I didn't even know about.
Yeah, right? And then the whole series of books and everything else. So you're going through the books, and at least one patron is going through all of the series.
Yeah.
That's available on YouTube, apparently. So we'll get into that later.
Everything you can find.
Yep. Also, Threads. We're not on X anymore.
No, we are on X. I know, because I was thinking about this. Actually, I was like, when we get to the social media part, I'm like, I've got to remember to not say Twitter, apparently. We're on X. Yeah. X.
But are we, though? Or are we just on Threads? I don't know.
I mean, we're on X.
We're keeping a watchful side eye on X.
Yeah. It's like a fucking ghost town on X these days. Like, it's like they X'd everybody out of it. I don't know. Yeah. Nobody wants to do it. Porn's still on there, though. So there's that.
Oh, did you see the ad? I love the ad that they just released. It was like marketing genius. So I don't know if it's like the ASPCA or like Animal or something, like, I don't know who it was, Greenpeace or something, or Animal Extinction Awareness or something. And so it showed the Twitter bird logo throughout time, and then it goes to an X. And it was like, pay attention to your natural word before it all goes away or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is genius. They're going to get so many fucking donations.
I love it, but I hate X. I woke up in the morning and my entire phone looked different and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, something's not right. And then I was like, oh, it's the Twitter logo. Like it's gone.
You can type in Twitter or you can type in X. And then now they have to put X formerly Twitter. It's like, the artist formerly known as Prince or something.
Well, because on Apple, you have to have a certain number of characters to have an app. So it's called Twitter, but it says X on the logo. Stupid. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to change that to X and then say formerly Twitter.
The app
was Twitter.
Twitter.
Anyway, BattleBurrito over on Patreon said, Japanese movie request, House from 1977. I'm excited to watch a Japanese horror comedy. This was and remains one of the scary movies I remember ever watching as a teen. Although I really didn't like horror at the time, I still liked this one for some reason. I really haven't seen it recently enough to know or remember why it appealed to me. I guess it's time for a rewatch. Also, I always appreciate a dig at Margaret Thatcher. What was that? I was like, Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day.
Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day is what you said somewhere.
We're trying to sober ourselves up or something.
I cannot remember the context in which you said that, but when I was listening to that episode, listening back to it, I was just like, what? So apparently,
yeah, and I could have sworn BattleBurrito had seen House from 1977 more recently because he was telling me to watch it.
I watched it just about a year ago,
and there's another one from House that I remember as a kid,
The American House.
Yeah,
Ding Dong You're Dead.
Ding Dong You're Dead, which I enjoyed.
I like House and House.
It's very Muppety.
Yes, super Muppety. And so's this, kind of. It's like Japanese Muppety, though.
Okay.
It's good. I mean, I feel like eventually...
Japanese already has kind of the Muppety kind of built in, you know?
Well, I mean, yes. But Nicole over on Patreon said, I second House 1977. Also Audition, The Eye, and from Serial TV, 30 Monedas, and the incomparable Los Spookies.
Never heard of it.
So Nicole,
I've heard of The Eye, but I think she's talking about the Japanese version. Audition, I've certainly heard of. House is on my. I've added all these to my watch list, by the way, but I have not heard of this last two.
So 30 Minutes, she recommended us before. I think it's a sort of like a.
Wait! Is that 30 coins?
Yeah.
That's on my list.
Yeah, it's
for TV shows, but I can't add them to my watch list from Letterboxd because they're TV shows.
Right.
So I tried to add Evil, and I tried to add From.
Other people
to my list, but they don't exist on Letterboxd, so I have to maintain a separate.
I need to watch 30 Coins for sure, and
yeah,
anything called Los Spookies, like I feel like I need to watch that for sure.
Los Spookies.
Atorados
dos.
Los Spookies. Love it.
Rosary Leader on Patreon said, I'm so totally with Robert and that her having psychic abilities went over my head.
Thank you.
For real though, loved this film. When I first saw it in high school, the girls' uniforms looked like mine and loved it upon rewatch last year. Atmosphere, acting, and effects are all amazing, and I still jump at parts of it. Also loved seeing Adam Brody and the girl from NCIS making early career cameos.
Yeah, we totally clocked Adam Brody too. I'm so glad there's somebody else out there who didn't realize that she had a psychic ability for like decades. I was just like, what? I mean, now when I watched it this last time, I was like, psychic? What the fuck?
I can see that now, really. I was confused during, but I can see like having watched the movie and having some distance from it. I can see how you could see that. Like it's just a ghost thing or something.
Yeah.
It just seems really high concept to be just like, oh, it's on a videotape. It's really highly, weirdly specific. So with the whole imprinting on walls and everything else, like to me, I connected to the dots really quick while I was watching it. But
it totally makes sense now that like it's dawned on me apparently. But at the time, I just like accepted it for what it was. And I was just like, well, there's a videotape. It's cursed. It exists.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah. But now that I know that she can do this, it makes way more sense. Anthony over on Patreon said, I'm with Chris. I would totally die in a Ring scenario. My husband loves to joke that I'd be the one to release the demons in any Evil Dead movie. And he isn't wrong.
Nope. I would do the same thing. I would totally play the record, say the words, because I'm just really threatening life to be more interesting than it is.
Well, and I would probably stick around for it. You know what I mean? Like if you started playing that record, I'd be not paying attention or paying attention to something else and be like, what's this song? And then all of a sudden I'm possessed. Yeah. I would only do terrible things.
Oh my God. I'd love to see a Muppety Sam Raimi version of you.
Oh my God. You already have. It's that bitch in the cellar from Evil Dead 2. Henrietta. That's
Henrietta.
Me. Someone's been in my fruit salad. I mean, that's me. Question answered.
Alex over on Patreon said, I'm very excited for the possibility of more J-horror and international horror in general from this podcast. Us too. We're going to continue. We have a promise for next year. We've already actually put it on the docket for The Grudge and
right.
Ju-on.
I'm so excited for that.
So, yes.
Ready to talk about The Grudge. Bennett over on Patreon said, more than anything about this movie, I love the incredibly absorbing mood and atmosphere. It perfectly captures what a very rainy day in the Pacific Northwest feels like. There may not be as strong tones of green, but the overall vibe is just as strong. I'm glad you guys talked at length about Hans Zimmer's score for the film, but I should point out this is not his only horror entry. The previous year, he composed the score for Hannibal. If that doesn't count as horror, then what does?
It doesn't. It's horror adjacent.
I mean, we can't make the argument that The Silence of the Lambs was the only horror movie to win Best Picture and not call it sequel horror as well.
Yeah, I guess. It's more of a, like, this one's really thrillery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even Silence of the Lambs is kind of horror adjacent, you know?
Yeah.
Which is fine. But like his only straight up horror film, like tried and true straight up horror film, is The Ring. Yeah. And I stand by that statement. But I did see that because I went back to kind of double check myself, and I did see Hannibal, and I was just like, that was it, kind of. And I was like, if he's only done one horror and then one horror adjacent, like he's every genre has a dabble in horror for a moment or something, for at least one musical cue or something. But for like a straight through and through horror, this is his only one. Yeah,
but do you even remember the score from Hannibal?
No.
Do you remember anything about Hannibal?
My favorite part of Hannibal is the opera in it. So it's just not a memorable Hans Zimmer score for me.
I like when Ray Liotta eats his brain.
Yeah, I have the opening. I think it's the opening track or just like the suite for Hannibal, and I do like that music, and I have it on my repeat playlist for film scores.
I don't know that I'll ever rewatch that movie,
but I think it uses the opera score. So yeah. Anyway, whatever. Moving on. It's a good call out. From our outtakes, which we just released, Matthew T. McHenry from Instagram said, love that this always lines up with my birthday month.
I mean, he comments on every single one of our outtakes episodes. He's the one who made that Jaws meme. Rawr, So at least we have one fan of our outtakes, but apparently we have another one because Nico over on Facebook said, awesome episode. The part where Robert sang Better Than Ezra was hilarious.
Better Than Ezra.
It was. That was God. I bust into another Better Than Ezra song. I was just like throwing my Better Than Ezra knowledge out there.
And these are the only two comments we got from outtakes. That's sad. Because I always feel like when we throw episodes out into the wilderness, into the ether, I always wonder how they're going to be reacted, but especially outtakes, because they can be really kind of raunchy and dirty and weird and politically incorrect. And, it's kind of like trusting our audience to kind of get it, especially since a lot of them are in jokes that just have no explanation.
Well, apparently they do, because don't we have a voicemail coming up?
We kind of do.
That's right.
And you haven't even heard it yet.
I'm so excited.
I just told you about it. It's great.
Because I also love our outtakes episodes. Like, I want more people to be like, oh my God, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At the end of the day, as long as I think it's funny.
Exactly. Yeah. Might as well share it. Some people love it.
That's right. From our deep dive into The Ring 2, GWO, the Jamie Grayson on Instagram said, this intro to your episode is unhinged. Laugh emoji, dear.
Yes. That was such a risk.
It was so funny, though. I mean, like, I could barely contain myself trying to read it.
I had to go back and listen to that like 4 times because it's just so fucking hilarious.
So
the way you read it. You read it exactly how I thought. Like, I know how you're going to read things, and so I will write things knowing how you're going to read it and laugh. And so, like, it's great to write for, like, it must be how, like, a writer feels for, like, an actor on a show or something.
For real.
When they, like, kind of in sync. So, yeah. And I knew how you were going to say Dick Cheney, which is great. I don't know. Dick Cheney?
So this is what 5 years of a podcast will bring you. You're like writing a synopsis, knowing how I'm going to read it. I love it. So predictable.
For me, it's like the hard stuff, like getting all the technical boat jargon in that was in our 5th outtakes. Yeah. That has continued. I tried to like get you back for that several times, probably recently too. Mm-hmm. I think it was Batman Returns was one. And then like recently, like
it's another one.
Yeah.
Like, even post Batman Returns.
Yeah. And so I tried to like get you to do all that boat jargon. Again, like, releasing the line or whatever. Or
sever
like,
the line.
Sever the line and release the clampets or whatever.
Release the cleats, sever the line.
Yeah. So that got me.
Keep doing it. Shit.
Penelope over on Instagram said, at the Jamie Grayson, I don't know about you, but I laughed so hard I cried a few times.
I certainly did. I cried while I was reading it. Jules G0808 over on Instagram said, this was totally a cash grab film. Boring. lack of scares, reused jump scares from the original, horrible. But I am so glad you gentlemen covered it.
That's what we do here.
Mm-hmm. We do the heavy lifting so you don't have to.
BattleBurrito over on Patreon said, when the VHS started screaming, I died.
Literally. It's the best part of that movie.
Yeah, for real. And the deer scene.
And the deer scene.
Yeah.
That prominent deer. Alex over on Patreon said the only thing I'll remember about this movie is that sassy ass deer in their gang.
Right. That's why I had to segue in the synopsis to see what they were doing.
That fucking deer gave so much side eye in the ring TWO. It's just like, what?
David Raymond Clark over on Spotify said, get away from that television, you bitch. And peanut butter and Vicodin sandwich are running through my head as I prepare a serious monologue. Can't keep a straight face. Ha ha, bless y'all. Vitch.
Deek.
Bitch.
Peanut butter and Vicodin sandwich. I could go for one of those, actually. From our Shooting the Flames episode in July, so last month, Nikki over on Instagram said, we agree with my aliens comment.
The aliens comment about the brown face, if you recall. Yeah.
We agree with my aliens comment. Like I said, different time, different conditions, and I heart the character and the actor's performance. I just rewatched it and had to comment. Glad to have a space to virtually discuss. Glad to hear thoughts from @Film Professor Bear. His wife and I have squealed running through a haunted house behind him as a shield. I hope something on Chris's list scares him. Also, no ads on my end, and Stitcher, where I usually listen to you, is shutting down. So I'm moving here to Spotify to listen. My hubby has seen all the Saws, I think.
Wow. Okay. So he's seen 9 of them.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have, Nikki, and I'm so glad we had it. And it's actually going to continue because one of our other listeners had something to say as well.
Ooh.
And that's coming up. So GlazedDonut over on Patreon said, I'll admit that I have MGM Plus, which used to be named Epix, but only because I'm watching the horror show From, which just had the second season finale in June. I don't know if either of you ever heard of From because it doesn't get much attention and the name of it doesn't help. It's from the producers of the show Lost, and it stars the always great and always underrated Harold Perrineau. It's about a town that traps everyone. Make maps made of me. Sorry. I love that line. Harold Perrineau. I love it. It's a national treasure. Pox out all your houses. It's about a town that traps everyone that enters it, and the inhabitants can't get out. Can't go out at night due to monsters that rip them and eat them apart. I thought there was already a show about this called The Dome or something. Anyway, there's a lot of mystery surrounding the town, and there is some rough around the edges acting from unknowns, but it has some real creepiness to it. It received a little of the attention the first season due to Stephen King tweeting about how much he enjoyed it, and the second season has consistently been number 1 for top 10 shows streaming on Amazon, in the US at least. If you can get any time, check out season 1 trailer on YouTube and see what you think.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch this show.
Definitely, but is it really MGM Plus? I thought it was like on HBO or something else. I wouldn't have to get MGM Plus. I could obviously watch it on Amazon based on her statistics.
Yeah, I don't need another fucking subscription platform.
I have Paramount Plus and fucking AMC Plus randomly with Shudder and HBO Max and Netflix.
So we have all the pluses.
Yeah.
MGM Plus, like Hulu Plus, whatever the fuck. That's too many at this point.
But Boosie Plus. Oh.
Jessica E over on Patreon said, I second this one. From is a great show. I'm still only halfway through season 1. I know, where the hell have I been? Or me, or us.
Or everyone.
But I haven't been able to properly binge it, so I'm savoring it. Ooh. It feels much more horror than Lost in ways I can't describe. I guess Lost was more like strange things happening all over the island, where From has straight up horror happening almost every night, making the stakes very high. I like it a lot.
Sounds like a good segue. Some of the best elements from Lost were its horror elements which was a significant part of the show.
Yeah.
I actually still love the show Lost. I don't really like how it ended. And I don't like how they had to write within a boundary of don't show the mystery box because of J.J. Abrams. They should have gotten a showrunner that was willing to have some flexibility for the later seasons because, otherwise they just kind of started rehashing until it ended.
And you're right, because I got really fucking bored with Lost after a while. It started out
plus
very
you
strong.
could not miss. It's a show ahead of its time because it needs to be binged, but to have season breaks or week to weeks, with some gaps, like you're not going to follow that fucking show.
Nope, I didn't. After a while, I was just like, nope.
And there was no monster. There was almost I think there was only like 1 or 2 monster of the week episodes. And that was it. Mm-hmm. Everything follows a character. and it goes from thing to thing. So that was the joke. If you missed one episode, you would be lost.
And eventually I was just like, stop posing more questions than you give answers. Just that's enough.
You got timey-wimey and all that stuff, spiritual.
Stop it, Lost, you're drunk.
Yeah, I wanted them to veer more into sci-fi than into spiritual fantasy, but whatever.
That's what we got. Bennett over on Patreon said, I know we don't see eye to eye on Jesse Eisenberg, but I would also argue he is not the twinkiest of twinks. That title belongs to Timothée Chalamet.
That's right, but Timothée Chalamet is not quite as annoying.
Not quite.
They're two sides of the same coin. Not annoying and annoying twink.
I mean, but he's right, though. Like, Timothée Chalamet is the twinkest of twinks, I guess. Jesse Eisenberg is super annoying, though.
Yeah, Timothée Chalamet annoys me a little bit. But, like, let's say Dune starred Jesse Eisenberg instead of Timothée Chalamet, I never would have fucking seen it. Not a million years.
What I'm picturing in my head right now, and that looks like garbage.
Yeah. Everything with him in it looks like garbage.
Bavarian.
Yes.
Case in point.
Yes. From our bonus episode on The Whale, George over on Patreon says, thank you guys for covering this. I steered clear of this film despite loving Aronofsky's movies. Everyone that I knew that watched this, friends who love good cinema and love Aronofsky's work, slammed it. So I was very skeptical of that and the controversies that the fat phobia issues and having a not overweight straight actor playing this character. Brendan Fraser's overweight. I don't have as strong of an issue with straight actors playing gay roles, but there are larger gay actors that have no doubt are overlooked for so many roles. All of that aside, you both gave a positive review on this, and I am going to now watch. See, it's just I love the world we should be living in, but not the world that we actually live in, type of situation, because Aronofsky's not going to direct and a studio is not going to pay for someone without an actual recognizable household name. Yeah. So, who's going to play gay? Who are people going to get behind for like an indie, like award-winning season kind of setting? And they found a straight cis guy that's overweight and hasn't worked in a while that everyone can get behind in Brendan Fraser. So it was excellently cast in that regard.
Well, and also like sometimes
and he did a great job, and he deserved the fucking Oscar.
You just have to like pick the best person for the role, and then make it happen. And I feel like he did an excellent job, more than an excellent job in that movie.
Would I have watched it or have been as intrigued with it if it wasn't Brendan Fraser and that kind of story? I'd hope to think I would have, but I probably wouldn't have, because it probably never would have reached my ears.
And may not have been nominated for the things that it was. I mean, who knows? I mean, like his performance in this is fucking magical.
Yeah, his casting and his performance gave this film legs that would have ordinarily had.
And I completely agree with you, George. I feel like people like overweight gay actors need to be on screen, right? I mean, I like to see people that I feel like represent me as a overweight gay guy.
Yeah.
But like when there's a part for them, sure. But
it's almost like maybe they didn't like it for as far as like the Aronofsky piece of it. It's just like it's almost like his most straightforward film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
conventional. His most conventional film.
Very much so, because it doesn't feel like an Aronofsky movie to me.
Not at all.
But I love it.
Because I expect like a big epic like cinematography and like wide shots and like a Clint Mansell score or something,
It totally became one of my favorite movies of last year. For sure, after watching this. Mm-hmm. So I hope that you went and watched it. I would love to know what you think about it. So tell us, please.
Yep.
James Aumann over on Patreon said, is the audio bad for everyone or just me?
Yeah, normally we wouldn't put in comments like this one, but I did want to attribute it. We had some problems on our Shooting the Flames episode, I think, as well as that episode. Something was going on with our mics, and we have fixed the issue, theoretically. So
hopefully.
Yes. We changed computers that it records on.
I'm going to open this beer. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that sound comes from Robert. Also said, while we're on the subject of audio correctness, he says, oh, you pronounce my name like Aumann, but fast. Aumann. Sorry, I drink a lot and you lads are keeping me alive. My God, sorry, I'm just venting now. I'm so jealous of your friendship.
Hey, James Aumann, I drink a lot too. Come be my friend. It's okay. One is never so rich. They don't have too many drinking friends. Right. From our deep dive into gods and monsters, George over on Patreon said, listening to Shooting the Flames July now and got to the comments part. One, I also love Deke. Sorry, I'm a child. Wait, that came out wrong. Or did it? I love the ending of your show with the Deke Entertainment as well. He's not the only one. Second, Gods and Monsters was a great episode. It was a sillier episode than I expected it to be, but still fun. Thank you for covering it. Not enough people do. I also realize I need to comment more. I've been slacking, but I am always listening. We know you're always there, George.
Yeah.
In the background. I follow you on Letterboxd. I saw what you gave Talk to Me.
I feel like all of our episodes are sillier than people expect at this point.
I know. I mean, this is what happens. This is what 5 years of podcasting will do, right?
Yeah.
We're just like,
are we just funnier, or do we just not care anymore?
Can it be both?
I'm a serious journalist.
We're always funny. That's the answer.
Nikki over on Patreon said, I decided to watch Gods and Monsters before listening to this episode, and I kept waiting for the horror as I watched the movie. I enjoyed the movie. I'm a longtime Brendan Fraser fan and his goofy, overly expressive faces.
Yes.
And I'm going to need for you to post the synopsis of this movie somewhere. I feel like I missed the jokes, but Robert's laughter made me laugh.
Again.
I don't remember what our jokes were.
Well, you wrote that one, so clearly I was laughing hysterically. This is the thing, is that, when I was reading The Ring TWO, and even you shared this, you were like, I don't know if people are going to hear what you said because I could not stop laughing while I was reading it. I need to remember to stop and compose myself a little bit. But where's the fun in that? Right?
Yeah.
Shit. Bennett over on Patreon said, I've been putting off thanking you tired queens for finally covering this horror adjacent biopic, which I recommended to you 2 years ago. Took you long enough. And, like you, I also have murky feelings about the film's portrayal of what is arguably John Wills' toxic behavior around younger men. On the one hand, I can relate to the title character, but I relate stronger to Brendan Fraser's character and his feelings of being used and exploited in the situation. I especially remember seeing this as a college student and feeling disturbed that some things about their relationship hit a little close to home for me. I won't go into details, but at the time, it made me realize that some things about a friendship I had with a much older man and how unhealthy it had become for me. I also knew a fellow student who was actively pursuing sugar daddies in the film industry, and my vague memories of what he told me further creeped me out. As much as I love movies, the industry is full of older male predators.
Yeah, for both women and men.
That's right.
Yep.
So, I mean, we took your suggestion seriously, Bennett, obviously, and covered this movie. We just found the right movie to pair it with, for sure. But I feel like when you suggested it, we were excited about it at the time. And
yeah, we had already both seen it, I think, and we both wanted to do it. Like a lot of this stuff, people have asked about or continue to ask about movies that we just can't do everything at once. Right, we could do 2 movies and we try and do a theme each month, So.
I mean, for people who like House 77 was recommended by two listeners, right?
We've been wanting to do that for a couple of years,
It's on the proto doc.
But I love that. At 5 years, we've been doing 2 movies a month on average. If you count Patreon, more, for 5 years, and we still have so many movies to cover.
And the thing is that the things that we already want to do, people are excited about, you know? I mean, so like we promise you, like if there's a movie you want us to cover, chances are Chris and I have talked about covering it at this point.
And we have a big enough catalog now that some people are going and they're searching and they're listening to our backlog and they still are like, you need to cover this one. And I actually like reply, hey, we actually got it over here.
Yep, here it is.
Or what do you think about these movies? I was like, actually, we did this, we did this top 10 over there, So,
but also ultimately, Bennett, I'm glad that you came to a realization about some things, because being in that kind of a situation seems very not pleasant, right? So I think as you get older and you can realize the situations that you were in and be glad that you didn't have to keep going through it.
Right. From our deep dive into apt pupil, Nikki over on Patreon said, how did y'all not mention the only person of color in this movie? The amazing Joe Morton. Yeah, he doesn't do much in this role, but I love him all the same. At the end of this movie, I kept thinking, ugh, really? The Nazi dies on his terms and the privileged white kid is getting away with all of this? Along with your #MeToo discussion made me a bit stuck in a negative space thinking about who gets away with literal and metaphoric murder. Okay, shaking that feeling off. Whew, anyway, overall, I enjoyed the rewatch. So we love Joe Morton.
Yes.
Here at the Film Flamers. Obviously, we sung his praises, and I feel like kissed his ass a little bit.
In Terminator 2.
In Terminator 2, of which his performance should have really been up for like some sort of supporting actor role, in my opinion. He's also been in like Of Mice and Men, Speed, Blues Brothers 2000, What Lies Beneath. He's in the Justice League franchise. He's won an Emmy kind of recently-ish for Scandal. He's big on TV right now, I think. So he's everywhere, and he's an amazing talent, and we love him, but I don't think we mentioned him because he was only in the movie for maybe like 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and also I feel like in that episode, it was kind of overshadowed by a lot of other things. Like there were a lot of really heavy themes in that movie to touch on.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that situation, or at least that deep dive, we talked more about like the movie Ness than the movie itself. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus that part of the plot was more like they just needed 2 guys to come in and like act as like the end, you know, the Deus Ex Machina kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And he was kind enough to play that role for them.
But we do love some Joe Morton.
Yes.
For sure.
For real.
So we have some questions and such. And Nico over on Instagram sent us some very long DMs. And here are just some parts of it. She says, "Hi guys, I wanted to do a quick write-in with some content ideas I thought you would enjoy. The first one is a movie called The Dark and the Wicked." You probably heard about this one. It was done by the same guy who did The Strangers.
Yep.
That movie scared the crap out of me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. The other 2 are older, but so good, and I haven't seen anyone podcast about them, which is surprising because I think they are both real gems. Do you guys remember a Robin Williams film called 1 Hour Photo? Of course. It's on Hulu currently, and I forgot how legitimately terrifying it was until rewatch. Oof. Robin Williams was amazing in serious roles, and I miss him still and forever. Last but not least, the talented Mr. Ripley. I love this film, and it is classified as a thriller like Silence of the Lambs, but I believe it has more on-screen violence and death than Silence.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely at least horror adjacent and an absolutely stellar cast. Would love to hear you guys do this as well.
You know, I've never seen Talented Mr. Ripley. I would love...
You've never seen it?
No. And I've never seen 1 Hour Photo, but I know about it.
So I have been pushing for Mr. Ripley, at least like on the sides, to be a Pride Month episode.
Speaking of which, maybe 1 Hour Photo we could pair with Nolan's film with Robin Williams, which I think is Insomnia, which Matt told me is an excellent horror adjacent film.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
Yeah. So that would be an interesting pairing. And obviously Dark and the Wicked was on our top 10 films of the year for like 2020 or 2021 or something.
Something around there, yeah.
And it's also on my private list of movies that actually scared me as a grown-ass adult.
Yeah, it's a fucking terrifying movie.
Yeah.
And so is The Strangers. This is why, like, when this man makes a movie, I'm going to be there for it because I know I'm going to be fucking terrified.
Yep. The Strangers is on that list and Dark and the Wicked is on that list. So he's the only director that is twice on that list for me.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, good things from him. And I'm sure that eventually we'll probably do a Strangers deep dive. We'll probably do a Dark and the Wicked deep dive. You know, we just have to find the right time for those.
Yeah.
1 Hour Photo, I saw once when it came out and I liked it. I think it's really creepy. So, I mean, it's probably worth a rewatch for sure.
His movies just give you this feeling like you're not supposed to be watching it. And it's not something that's like super shocking going on screen necessarily.
Well, sometimes.
But I mean, like, you know, nothing so over the top that it would be, you know.
I think when those shocking feelings,
it's the tone I'm going for, sure. You know?
Yeah. Well, in his movies,
he's really good at dread.
Oh my God. And Mr. Ripley. I mean, I feel like that would be a really, really good Pride Month episode, right? I am ready to talk about that. I like that movie a lot. So I thought for sure you had seen this movie. How did you miss that?
I don't know. It seemed a little highfalutin.
It is a little highfalutin.
Yeah. It looked a little Great Expectations-y.
I think it's the same director as like the fucking Constant Garden.
Anything with like Gwyneth Paltrow in it just felt around in the late 90s area. They all felt like, stop.
Yeah.
You know, you're Oscar baiting. You're just throwing Gwyneth Paltrow.
Full stop. No cap.
At the screen, at the audience, and hoping for an Oscar.
For real.
And somehow Shakespeare in Love won, you know.
Fuck, I will never
because of fucking Weinstein.
Anyway, to answer your question, yes. A lot of these movies we would consider, some of them we're already considering, and we have seen. So, but she continued.
I also listened to the episode where you guys going to the film festival in New Orleans. What an amazing experience. Did you guys stay at the Pontchartrain Hotel? Your talk of Anne Rice during the episode inspired me to reread the Vampire Chronicles, which I haven't done since the 90s or 2000s. I was quite surprised by how many of them there are now. I think I only read to Memnoch previously, so thank you for getting me to revisit those. I did reread the Witching Hour trilogy back during the lockdown, and it is still breathtaking and amazing. I've never read that. I highly recommend it. I think I need to break down and figure out Patreon for you guys because I need me some bonus material, and I would love to be a member of the Flamers family. Hope you're both having a fantastic summer. And yes, we are having a fantastic summer because we would love to have you as a patron.
That's right. Come join the patron family.
Yeah.
The Flamers family. Is it like the Manson family?
We've got a shit ton of bonus episodes now, like 100 bonus episodes or something now.
That's right. It would take you a long time to get through them.
Yeah.
So do it. I downloaded all the Vampire Chronicles novels to my Audible.
Yeah. If you can get past The Tale of the Body Thief, Memnoch the Devil is one of my favorite books of all time.
We did not stay at the Pontchartrain. I've had drinks in the Pontchartrain though. So it's a...
No, we like to stay on the Airbnbs.
Yeah, we like our personal space away from the paparazzi and such when we go down to the Overlook.
Yeah. Clamoring. They don't recognize me because I hide in all this fat.
What? What a very Brendan Fraser thing to say. But speaking of the Overlook, they have announced their dates for 2024. So starting August the 2nd, or possibly before, we will be in New Orleans, ready for that film festival.
You said August.
Sorry. April 2nd, or possibly before, we will be in New Orleans, ready for that film festival. So everyone, including Nico, come visit. Kylie, over on Instagram, said, "Hello, Chris and Robert. Hope this reaches you. I discovered you guys about a month or so ago and have been an avid listener ever since. I just caught your new episode on The Ring. Funnily enough, my boyfriend, sister, and I are headed to Seattle for the weekend to visit a friend. I had already planned on scoping out a few Ring filming locations while there, so this episode came as a coincidental surprise. I giggled when you guys mentioned Sadaku versus Kaoku, which I'm sure I'm butchering still. As it is one of my favorite new watches this year, I implore you to check it out. I believe it's still on Shudder. Is it perfect? No. But what it is, in my opinion, is a lot of fun. Will it have you going, huh? A lot, but in the best way. Don't take it too seriously. Just enjoy the weird ride for what it is.
Maybe that's what we should watch tonight.
Mayhaps.
I don't know.
Maybe we should say...
Maybe we'll have it as a palate cleanser.
Mostly we're going to go sit in a room by ourselves and like turn the lamp on and off.
Yeah.
And just roll the ball.
Yeah, the plan, patrons and listeners, is that we are going to be watching Sallow, or 120
Days of
Sodom tonight. So we'll see what that is. I got it from the Criterion collection, so it's kind of highfalutin, right?
It's a little highfalutin, but highfalutin in a very traumatic way.
Oh, well.
We'll find out.
We'll see.
Kylie continued over on Instagram.
Now that I've successfully spammed your inbox, the last thing I'll say is that I've been watching Asian horror movies since I was in junior high school, probably earlier. I was the kid dressed up as Samara for Halloween, while all my friends were cheerleaders or go-go dancers and sexy versions of Dorothy Gale. I had a group of friends for a sleepover one year where we watched The Ring, and the moment Rachel finished the tape, my parents called our landline from another room. We all screamed when the phone started ringing. I have such a nostalgic passion for this niche area of film and would love to listen to you guys cover some more of them. Fantastic job on each of your episodes, and keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kylie. And our favorite people are the people who go as Samara for Halloween and not sexy Dorothy Gates.
Yeah, like get new friends. Fuck.
For real, though. Gosh. I would have loved that.
Although I think one of my favorite costumes one year at the Gayborhood was Britney Spears, but it was a group of 5 people through the 5 stages of Britney Spears' career. And they had like 2 guys. Yeah, there was the guy with the shaved head, and there was another guy, but it had the short skirt with the no underwear, and so it was like this literal like stuffed animal beaver underneath the.
We really enjoyed talking about The Ring, and like it inspired me to like look more into it. So I am listening to the book currently and liking it.
Yeah.
So Nicole over on Threads again said, at the Film Flamers, the new Exorcist trailer is running before Oppenheimer and I have a lot of feelings. I heard the first tubular bell and squealed. A lady just down from me gasped and then clapped. I'm cautiously optimistic, but also it was unsettling, which is definitely a good thing. Oppenheimer is so very good.
No comment.
I was going to say, do you have something to say?
No, I don't. I have nothing to say.
You have nothing to say about Oppenheimer?
I did see the trailer before Oppenheimer.
That's right. And we're going to be talking about that trailer in just a little bit, Nicole.
It was definitely a trailer.
It was a trailer. I didn't see it.
And Oppenheimer was certainly a movie.
I have not seen Oppenheimer.
Well.
And I don't know yet.
You have plenty of time to do so.
That's right. I have my entire life.
Yes,
my entire
you do.
Existence
Yep.
to see Oppenheimer. Stay tuned, Nicole. We are going to talk about that trailer in just a minute.
GlazedDonut over on Patreon said, in my response to new merch, I'm hoping these are still available next month as I purchased and received my Cow Eyes light blue sweatshirt for fall. Seeing as it's hotter than Satan's butthole out here, I'll have to wait a few more months to wear the sweatshirt.
We need pictures of you wearing that sweatshirt, GlazedDonut. Also, I still love your name. And get that highfalutin shirt. My gosh.
For real.
James over on Patreon said, hey, just a quick question and or possibly a reminder that a new Alien movie has just wrapped and ready for 2024 release. And I just want to ask, what do you think is the best alien-based horror movie? Doesn't have to be the Ridley ones, though. They are my favorite, especially the first, which I watched like once a week. Yes, I know that's weird. Thanks, boys. I fucking love this podcast. Ooh.
So I actually replied to him and said, go to our Letterboxd and go to our past top 10s episode on, I think we did a little top 10 best alien horror movies.
I think we did a best top 10 sci-fi movies, maybe?
But I think there was like that feature aliens. Like,
it did. Yeah.
Right? It had to feature like aliens as yeah. So it wasn't just sci-fi, I don't think. So like it was in there, not yet, sorry. The Thing was in there, but at the top 2 spots was Alien and Aliens, I believe.
That's right.
Right. And so if you are interested to know what our top 10 sci-fi horror or top 10 alien horror, whatever the fuck we called it is, that's over on Letterboxd. And the actual episode recorded is in our backlog somewhere.
To answer your question just a little bit, and I'm pretty sure it made it into that top 10 episode, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life, and I saw it when I was very young, was a movie called Fire in the Sky that had to do with aliens. Yep. And it just scared the fucking bejesus out of me.
Yep.
So if you have not seen that one, definitely go watch it. I watched it again like within the last couple of years. It doesn't hold up as well, but it is still kind of scary. So, and thanks for listening. Nothing is too weird. And we fucking love that you listen to us.
Rosie Red Leader on Patreon said, hi there. In order to leave a review on Apple or iTunes, do I have to own a device or have an account? We're Android users. So this is the question I was mentioning earlier where, nope, you just have to have a Windows device and download the app.
That's right. You can do it.
Yep. Et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't want to spend the calories, like we said, you can go anywhere and write us a review wherever it's available to you.
Rosie, you have commented a lot over the last several Shooting the Flames episodes and even before that. So anywhere you would leave a review would be great. Ryan King over on Patreon said, hello, Film Flamers. Just took a huge deep... My brain went somewhere else instinctively.
Just took a huge dump on your podcast. Well, did you clean it up?
Okay. Fuck. Hello, Film Flamers.
Hurry up, it's getting hot in here.
I'm trying. Hello, Film Flamers. I just took a huge deep dive into your podcast. Reread it, please.
I just took a huge deep dive into your podcast this week. Starting things off with Alien. I was blown away by how well your podcast is delivered and was shook when I saw the small amount of followers. I am so stoked to be getting into this on the ground level and immediately subscribed on Patreon. You both deserve so much success as what you're doing is well thought out and thorough. I plan to share with anyone who will listen what you guys are doing. And yes, you're both hilarious and I find myself laughing a lot. I especially wheeze real good when Robert laughs the hardest till he almost is out of breath.
Just now.
Anyway, I love everything you're doing. I plan to start from the beginning, watching movies I've never heard or seen of before, and then quickly throwing on the episode to hear you break it down. Keep up all the good work, and I can't wait to catch up. P.S. Also a request. There are 2 movies that have stuck with me in the genre of horror. This first being the program Texas Chainsaw, which my brother subjected me to at an early age. This movie wrecked me as a wee crotch goblin, and I was sick to my stomach for almost a month thinking Leatherface was going to chop me up into itty bitty bits. So that's a request. And also the 1990 version of Night of the Living Dead. Grew up with this, loved it, and want to hear your take. We talk about it a little bit in our deep dive of the Night of the Living Dead.
That's right.
And so, I think we both have met Tom Savini at this point.
Mm-hmm. A couple times.
And
I
would love to cover
that
it.
version.
Yeah,
I do. I love the change they make in Barbara's character.
Well, every March we try and do zombies, so it might be this coming March.
I mean, we just finished up the whole Romero Dead series last March, right? So we might as well
it only makes sense.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you, Ryan.
To start back at the beginning.
Please keep in all that laughter since he likes it so much.
Yeah, I will.
Your comment I could not even read. Sorry, because I was laughing so hard. Jessica E. sent us an email and she said, hello, my favorite flames. Okay, my first point from Shooting the Flames episode. I'm continuing on the Vasquez debate about the brown face in Aliens. Sorry if I'm beating a dead horse about this, but literally no one has mentioned this in any of the discussions I've heard about this. Yes, we all love Jeanette Goldstein, the actor who played Vasquez. Yes, she's great. I get it. Reasons I've heard so far is that she was in England at the time, right place, right time, all that stuff, yada, yada. The question was raised on your show, couldn't they just find a Latina Hispanic actress to fill the role? And we've learned they couldn't due to time constraints and work visas, etc. So going back to my point that no one can answer for me, once Jeanette Goldstein was determined perfect for the role, why for fuck's sake couldn't they just change the fucking name of the character from Vasquez to O'Neill or something more culturally appropriate? I cannot imagine that in 1986 diversity numbers were so important that they had to actually misappropriate a brown person to create the illusion of diversity. Just change the fucking name, James Cameron. Where's the t-shirt for that? Just change the fucking name, James Cameron. Shit.
I don't know. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit because I think it's a little bit more complicated when everyone's signed off on $1 million deals and $50 million budget and everything else for a script. Right. And so when you change a character or do something like that, it creates all of those sign-offs, and maybe they could have done it. I don't know. But I think they were still in the casting process and kind of the end of the tether.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's just was much more normalized back then. And so it is what it is, which isn't fair and isn't right.
No, it's not.
I think we can all agree on that.
Well, and the thing is, and I think we talked about this in that Shooting the Flames episode, right? And I mean, obviously, Nikki posed that question. We talked about it, and we've talked about it on this episode already too. Is that we're learning from past mistakes in filmmaking.
Well, they also barely got Sigourney Weaver to sign on. They had to do some weird cloak and dagger hoodwink kind of stuff to get that to happen, by playing the weird, shadowy middleman between Sigourney Weaver's agent and their own studio. Cause they were we're going to walk away if we don't get Sigourney. And then with Sigourney, they were we're going to work with you on the script and everything else. So it's if they were still working on that and they had just signed on a script and for script approval and all that stuff, I doubt they wanted to send a new script after that and to change it, when they could have just hired someone.
But so you're right. I mean, that would have been a really easy thing to do to make it more acceptable or more appropriate. Right. But
you'd think so.
Yeah.
Super fucking easy.
And I feel like today.
Does anything make sense in Hollywood? I don't know.
No, but I feel like today that would happen more quickly. I feel like if they found an actor to take a role that they had to find at the last minute today, they would change it to make it more appropriate.
Well, what's funny is that she does a great Irish accent, right?
Jeanette?
Yes.
Oh.
But identity politics get even more nuanced as we go forward. And so 50 years from now, we'd be having not a brown face discussion, but an Irish accent discussion.
Possibly.
Everyone just has to play themselves. And if it's not themselves, then they can't play it. Acting is no longer a thing. And it's either AI or it's someone actually playing the exact person and personality that they're supposed to be playing. And that's the future I envision from this conversation.
Oh, God, I hope not, though.
The point that philosophically is where do we draw the line? And I think we can draw the line easily at racism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is a good line to draw.
But again, I mean, I'm
regardless of stupid slippery slope arguments.
And I'm glad that people are passionate about this and want to talk about it. I mean, I feel like these conversations need to happen. So keep those comments and questions and things like that coming. And we're happy to talk about them on the show for sure.
It just bothers me. All this is like, well, no, it had to be an actual gay man and it had to be an actual fat man. I'm just like, fuck you. Acting. What are the differently able people with big noses that Nicole Kidman took the role from? You know, it's like, come on. How are we going to get actors that for transformative fucking roles if they can't like transform?
Somehow that nose feels right in a place like this.
I don't know. I just want like, I don't know, Danny DeVito to play Marilyn Monroe and like we get an Oscar for it or something. Next point. This is a bit off topic from Shooting the Flames, but I'm raising it again. Please say you're considering a return to starter horror movies in the fall. I think you mean Gateway. You guys barely touched the surface of some Disney horror movies and others, and I would love to recommend the following. Return to Oz. You mentioned this as an honorable mention last time, and I teased a potential deep dive later. Watcher in the Woods. Chris, I think you would, I think you put this on your watch list. I did. Have you seen it yet? No, I haven't. It's got Betty Davis and disappearing children in a parallel universe. Yes. It's on my watch list. And yes. We're planning on continuing that top 10 to feed us into deep dives into the future for Gateway Horror.
Yeah, we are not leaving that topic by the wayside.
No, and we will be deep diving Return to Oz at some point.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
You betcha.
We really enjoyed our conversations on those movies, like Legend of the Neverending Story.
Yes.
Were like really fun conversations for us, and we enjoyed those topics. So we are going to go back and do some more things from that top 10 list. Return to Oz for sure. And Watcher in the Woods, I agree with you, is very, very good. And Chris is going to watch it at some point.
I have to try. I have to care.
She continues. Finally, and back to Shooting the Flames topic, someone wrote in asking you guys what movies scare you still, because as an avid horror fan, nothing really scares anymore in the traditional sense. You turned that question back on us, and this got me thinking. I really can't think of any movies that scare me anymore as an adult either. At least not in the same way they did to me as a kid. Robert, I believe we have a trauma bond over our early childhood obsession with Poltergeist.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I need to be included in that.
You're also traumatized? Chris was also traumatized by Poltergeist. And this is what I dig when I get into I want to be scared or at least feel something. Is it losing a loved one or never knowing what happened to them? Try The Vanishing.
Added to my watch list.
Oh, but which one?
It's the earlier one.
Okay. Is it losing your autonomy over your own personhood, your body, or questioning your own mental health? Try Unsane, Clock, or Resurrection.
Seen the last two.
All good movies.
Yep, we recommended them.
Are you afraid of mental health decline, losing your memories, or being isolated and alone in old age? Try Relic.
Definitely going to dive that one at some point.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
Unresolved family trauma coming back to haunt you as an adult. Try The Dark and the Wicked.
Relic.
Or Relic, yeah.
Not bad. Hereditary. I don't know. Dark and the Wicked. Obviously, we just talked about that, but yeah. I would love to deep dive Dark and the Wicked.
And my personal favorite, do you fear the safe home environment you have created for yourself could be taken away in an instant based on random acts of violence out of your control? Try Funny Games, The Strangers, The Honeymoon.
I've seen The Strangers.
So these are all things that I think we talk about a lot.
I think we're going to end up deep diving all of these.
Yeah.
At some point.
I mean, and it's things that scare us as adults. Yeah, I still get scared by trivial nonsense when I watch horror movies, but I'm really susceptible to that. I always have been, right? But you bring up a point that I think that we talk about a lot on the Film Flamers, and why we cover so many horror adjacent movies is that the horror that you find in real life, or the things that adults are scared of, are sometimes way scarier than anything else, right? We've covered movies that nobody would think of as like horror, really, and have found the horror in them. I mean, like, try The Bodyguard, right? If you talk about like your autonomy being taken over and whatnot, and people like coming after you just because you're a celebrity, like no one sees that movie as a horror movie, but we do, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, all of your points are valid, and I think that you're right. Scarier things are the adult things, always. And as we continue to grow up and change and watch more movies, like, we're going to find new fears as adults. Fears as adults is an endless possibility. Like, we should stop trying to have like normal lives where we're not going to be scared and just resign ourselves to whatever fresh hell the day is going to bring us. And there's my negative rant.
As I finished my email, I just saw your post on your new Highfalutin t-shirts, and you'd best be sure I'll be buying myself one of those bad boys. Stop. Did you tell us that you were going to have the chef in the Midsummer Flower Crown getup? I'm fucking dying right now. Yes, we did.
And there it is.
Yeah, we were going to have the Swedish chef from the Muppets wearing the May Queen dress and saying, "Hi Falutin." Hi Falutin.
Hi Falutin.
And so that is the t-shirt that we will receive the Smackdown from Disney soon. So go pick up yours on our Film Flamer store.
That's right. Get it while you can. And Jessica, thank you so much for that email. You covered a lot, and we really appreciate like all the topics that you brought up. So keep those things coming and continue to listen and give us more things to talk about.
Jay sent us an email and said, "Aloha, I'm Jay, and I'm compelled to write a goddamn email to y'all." An email? What year is this? "I'm digging your pod. You ain't haters, and you don't spew vitriol, even when deserved. You have great chemistry, too. I might add that y'all are filthy fuckers." That resonates too, oh so deeply. Anywho, I haven't signed up for your Patreon yet, as I am having space issues on my brick, but I'm considering it. Have you, or are you to review Coherence? Eventually we will.
Yeah, probably. It's okay, man.
Cargo. Well, that's probably going to be a good combo for next March with Night of the Living Dead.
That's right.
So we might write those down. Possession, which is definitely on my watch list. Saying it's an intense 1981 Sam Neill horror film, nasty jazz. The character interactions are absurdly inexplicable, but Isabel Afshani gives one of the most staggering performances in the history of horror. I have heard that and seen portions of it. I cannot wait to see it. Hope y'all are well. Thanks for your buoyant spirits. Mahalo, toodles.
Jay, you sound delightful.
Yes.
And so we were talking about maybe having a double feature with Solo tonight, and I was gonna say Possession or the Devil's movie that people keep saying are like one of the most shocking horror films.
I've been waiting for like 3 years to see Come and See.
I know.
So that was the original pairing.
I know, but it seems so depressing. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be in a good headspace for that, as I'm already depressed.
Well, maybe these voicemails will lift your depression.
Hey, Film Flamers. My name is Tara, and I've been listening to your show ever since The Terminator. So I wanted to actually leave voicemail after today's July 3rd, and that just happens to be when the second Terminator came out. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into your podcast. And then I went back to your first episode, and that was Copycat. And I remember that was just a movie that I watched with my sister as a kid. But then you started having all these honorable mentions about Buffy, and that was my number one TV show ever, or I should say is. So I just points to you guys for always commenting on that show. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. I love every episode that you guys have, even movies that I've never seen before. I just appreciate your comments. Robert, I love your laughter. It's so contagious. So even like when I'm not, when I'm just a little down, I hear your laugh and I start laughing. Like I start smiling too. And Chris, your description of so many different movies and just like, even for example, like RoboCop, I just appreciate what you were talking about for the music. So you got so emotional with that, but yeah, it's very poetic. And I actually was able to watch one of the movies that you guys recommended, The Invisible Man. So, and I agree, that was such a great movie, and it's too bad that, we're talking about 3 years ago, it came out in March of 2020, but just such a great movie. So I appreciate that recommendation to watch. I hope I don't get cut off, but yeah, I just appreciate what you guys have been doing for, oh my goodness, like 4 years now. And yeah, I was one of the people that actually made a comment on Spotify because that's how I found you guys. So yeah, I had made a comment before. There was one of your Film Flamers that was talking about Nicholas Holtz, or there was some kind of comment about that. And then Warm Bodies was the movie that you guys were thinking of, for Nicholas Hoult and some other movie that he was involved in. I wanted to say that because it's worth mentioning that movie Fresh, it's on Hulu. I think it's still on Hulu. I don't know. I don't really follow. I don't have any streaming services anymore, but it has Sebastian Stan, and it's so good. If you guys haven't watched it, it's just really creepy, but it's worth watching. So that's one of those movies that has like a little take on just like an online dating app. Like there's a mention on it. So anywho, there's so much that I want to talk about, and I shouldn't have waited all these years, but I just wanted to leave you a voicemail, and now there's 2 voicemails. Okay. All right. Well, happy 4th for tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Wow. What an amazing voicemail. Actually, 2 voicemails. I'm going to try and splice them together. But you hit on so many good things. I love that you commented his laugh and then my love of music. It's like you have been listening for a while. And it's like, really, like, Tara, like, this is the first time we've heard from you and you've been listening for years. I'm just like blown away.
And comments on Spotify, did we just miss these?
No, I mentioned last shooting, I think, that we're having issues with Spotify. Like they'll send me notifications for comments and there'll be nothing there.
So Tara, we didn't mean to like skip you over on Shooting the Flames if you commented on Spotify, but like, if we had seen them, we would have said them for sure.
But, you know, Spotify just laid off something like 70% of their podcasting team. So that was a couple months ago. So it doesn't really surprise me that there's some bugs going on, but maybe eventually we'll see it. I've tried to go back and add the ability to add comments to different things. And so maybe that kind of fucked it up. I don't know.
Well, and like 2 parts of your voicemail, Fresh was really high on my watch list last year and I missed it. I still haven't watched it. But I heard really, really good things about it, and I still want to watch that movie, and you have reinvigorated my interest for sure. And also, your voice is really fucking soothing. Like, I kind of want you to read me a bedtime story, actually.
Right. Anyway, thank you very much for calling in, and hopefully we don't let you down in the future years to come.
That's right. It seems like we have some voicemails from the Scrotus.
We do. Our favorite buff cis bear cock tease, apparently.
I really love that descriptor.
Yeah, 3 separate subjects, I think. So we're gonna keep these separate. So
Okay.
here's the first voicemail.
Yo, this is the Scrotus, and I do go by the Scrotus. Your favorite buff cis bear cock tease. Hey, I'm here to talk to you guys about The Ring. I just listened to it and I thought it was really great. I think you actually brought a lot more to it in the discussion than I remember, and it made me think. And I thought, you know, One Piece. So all that was great. The part though about the horse, you didn't mention the connection with the horses that all died at the farm, and I always thought that was an obvious connection. And then I also think that the timeline at the time, you know, the showing the days and all that, on the original view when I was at the theater, I remember it being one of those like, hey, you only have so much time. So that's how it felt like it was always moving forward. Like fast, because I got to get to the answer before I run out of time. So kind of got that as well. But you guys are spot on everything. In fact, I listened to another podcast regarding The Ring, and it was nowhere good as yours. So kudos to you guys. Lastly, I want to make sure that you know William Washington Skinner IV is my Peter progeny. I am the Screwers. Remember that. Thank you. And that's it. Sweet dreams, baby.
Well, thank you for that voicemail. Yes, Daddy. Speaking of which, progeny. So wait, we have a William Skinner patron that is not you, but you were progeny. Is that what I heard?
Or is William Skinner like your alter ego, but your Peter progeny? We're confused, Scrotus.
I don't understand.
Could you elaborate, perhaps in a voicemail?
And take advantage of us in our confused state?
I mean, buff, you say?
Cocktease, you say?
Buff bear, you say?
Pixar didn't happen.
Our email address is tirequeens@female.
Female?
What's wrong with me today? Oh my God. This is hot.
Anyway, slide into our DMs. I'm joking. Yeah, I think it was like, I felt like it was like really obvious about the horse connection, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned like the video connections and stuff like that, but yeah, the obviously the horses dying and killing themselves, getting mad, like the horses where she spent the night was essentially the first place that she was imprinting images in people, right? Or in things and animals. And so I think that connection was, maybe I edited it out. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's there. We were all on the same page, I think.
Yeah.
As far as like the question about the horse scene is, jury's still out. I think it was actually photographed. I don't think it was 3D animated, but the reflection in the eye, that scene that you love so much.
I love it.
I still think it was photographed, but I don't know.
I'm going to believe that it was forever. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like that scene is way more fun to talk about because it's just ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
Like, and fun. So.
But yeah, and thank you for saying that we did a better job than another podcast who shall, I guess, remain nameless. But we'll just pretend that it's a big one.
I'm a little curious, though. I'm not going to lie. What else does he say?
All right, let's pull this up.
Hey, Flamers. Sorry, it's number 2. It is Scrotus again. Hey, the highfalutin singer for Trump card. Hey, I failed to mention I was going to make a point about old movies. You had talked a couple podcasts ago. And I think, too, that were really great. And you actually hit on it again with The Ring. It's at the time that the movies came out and how important they were at the time that they came out. And The Ring was one of those. I also think if you want to go further back, if you ever seen Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell, which is a great movie, funny movie, go back and watch Curse of the Demon or Night of the Demon. It's named both. It was originally made in England, but it was cut for an American version. It was also cut in England, so get the original length because it's the better one. And it's still short and it's to the point, but this is a really great movie, and it's black and white. You guys were talking about black and white movies, and if there were any good ones out there, that one is definitely great. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but just if you have Drag Me to Hell in the back of your brain, you're going to see the connections and how Raimi totally ripped off the entire storyline. And then there's another older movie. I believe it's European, called Vampire. I say Vampire because it's a YR. And it was right at the time where silent movies were coming into talkie, so it's mostly silent. There is some talking, but even then it's in German, I think. So, but again, at the time, groundbreaking movie. And it's actually really good in a very much old school Gothic vampire kind of way. It actually adds a lot of elements, and it's based off, I believe, an older story of vampires that Shelley stole from. Is it Shelley? Stoker. Sorry. Anyway, the original author of Dracula actually stole that story, and then made Dracula. So this is actually the precursor to Dracula, to be fair. But it's really good. Just some nuggets of cool old movies. And still, go out and find Wild Zero. I'm telling you, if you get a bunch of friends and you have drinks around and play the drinking game with it, it is a blast. Take care, guys. Your highfalutin Scrotus is out.
Interesting. So I feel like it's like art imitating life, imitating art. One of those things. Like if that's true, then Stoker stole this like from a German concept. If it's based on a book, Vampire or whatever, and then that was made into the book, and then the German expressionists made Nosferatu because they couldn't get the rights to Dracula, and then so on and so forth in history, right? Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting to actually look up the details for that, because we could have like an ongoing like Dracula theme month for years and years.
For sure. And also, we have been threatening to do Drag Me to Hell on the podcast for a long time because we both really love that movie. And if there are like instances where you can see where Raimi like got inspiration from this, I'm definitely down to watch Curse of the Demon or Night of the Demon.
Yeah. So we love Drag Me to Hell. I have put Curse of the Demon, actually shows up as Night of the Demon. And I think it's like 1930, 40 or something. Ooh. 50, 60, I don't know, somewhere in there. And then Vampire is like 1930, and it's mostly silent, like you said. And then Wild Zero I've added to my watch list as well.
Okay, let's do them.
Yeah. So he left us a third one, and this one is about foreign language horror, I believe.
Okay.
Hey, Chris and Robert. I know this is the third call, and I promise this is the last one, and I don't really want to eat up your time, but it came to my thoughts, and I have a lot of thoughts while I'm walking in the morning, and that's when I listen to you guys. By the way, you guys are awesome. Like, I listen to you guys do a review another movie and go through another movie that somebody else on another podcast has done, and you just make it so much more entertaining. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think in the podcast world, that definitely is high praise, at least in my opinion. So I wanted to mention two things into one. You had talked about the progeny horror, like the kids, and also foreign language films. And there are a handful, in my opinion, that are legendary. And I don't know if you're aware. I know you're aware of a few of them, but I would start off obviously with Let the Right One In. Great book, great novel, great both of the movies, the American and the foreign version. But obviously the foreign version was the first one that I really sunk into, and it's amazing. It's still up there with one of my favorite horror movies of all time. But then I want to touch on a couple that are maybe not so aware of. And there's a recent one called The Innocents. It's a foreign movie. Check it out. It's little kids in a foreign high-rise that come to have powers. That's all I want to say, because it gets really interesting, and it's more in the child mind of what you do with these type of powers. So it's really cool. I like what they did, and it's haunting. And it has a pretty good story arc too. Also, there's a couple older movies. So a black and white, I'm sure you've heard of it, The Village of the Damned. I believe to be a classic, great kid horror movie. And it really is a gem. Obviously, the very last scene could be redone because it's silly, but it was for the times, but it was amazing. Lastly, Who Could Kill a Child? That's a great foreign movie that people don't really talk too much about. It was definitely a precursor to Children of the Corn. A lot of tropes have been stolen from it. It's a slow burn, but the third act is bonkers and great, and it does everything you want. That's all I want to say about that. I don't want to ruin it, but man, that ending is amazing. And that's what I got. Oh, and one more note. Hey, on your horror that's adjacent for kids starting it, you guys, there was an episode a while ago, Watership Down. Watership Down horrified me as a kid. Great movie. I don't consider it horror, but it definitely has dark themes and murder and stuff like that. It's really cool. All right, that's all I got. This is Scrotus. Love you guys. Out. Oh, and sweet dreams.
Well, yeah, awesome. So Let the Right One In, Let Me In. I never saw the American remake. I loved Giacchino's score for it, though. And so Let the Right One I actually enjoyed quite a bit, although I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites.
It's good. Yeah. I mean, it's moody as fuck, you know. It's Scandinavian, right? Just like The Innocents is. And I really loved The Innocents.
I didn't as much. I thought it was really well done. But I was kind of coming off of recent-ish cat death.
Yeah.
And there's a cat death in Innocence that was very mean-spirited to move kind of like the plot forward and like give some character some flavor. And I didn't really like that. And it's one of the most traumatic animal deaths in a movie that I can remember.
Yeah, it's really hardcore. But I really liked that movie. I thought that like that main villainous kid in it was really fucking evil. And I really enjoyed the dynamic of the kids having powers and like battling with each other, like right under parents' noses.
I felt like an anime movie or something, but it
was a little
like
bit
live action. Yeah.
So I mean, like I thought The Innocence was really, really good.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that
I'd watch it again, but I was just like coming off of it, you know. And
with some time and distance.
Some people that really like generally it doesn't bother me, but it was done in such a way that was so mean spirited.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was your takeaway from that movie.
Yeah, I've never seen Village of the Damned, like especially like the 1990s version.
Oh, the Carpenter version?
But this is the original. He's talking about the black and white 1960 version, and then Who Can Kill a Child from 1976, and Watership Down, I'm assuming from 1978, obviously, because there was just one that was released like a year ago or two.
God, another one?
Yeah, but it's like it's either live action or it's like 3D animation or something.
No.
I'd rather watch the original.
So I've never seen the Watership Down movie. I've only read the novel, and the novel is traumatizing enough. Like, making me read that my freshman year in high school, I was just like, why are you doing this to me? I'll never be the same.
It's like a darker version of like Animal Farm or something.
And I haven't been. And Animal Farm was dark enough. We had to read Animal Farm the same year too. I was like, what are we doing with these books? God. But thank you for like bringing all that up. And the ones that we have not seen, we will definitely add to our lists. And keep the voicemails coming, Scrotus.
Yep. So we've got a voicemail from Alex.
Okay.
Hi, this is Alex, friend of the pod. And I just wanted to say that I've been really enjoying all the coverage of the Ring movies that you've been doing this month. But it's also horribly cursely. So in that first episode, when y'all were talking about, there's all these different versions out there, I just had to Google it. And then I found out they're easily accessible. So everything is on YouTube. And so I started watching all of those versions. So you can watch the TV movie version on the broadcast version and the VHS version. The broadcast version has fun commercials and is less sexy if you don't want to see like extra boobage and etc. And there's the Korean versions on there. There's audio versions of both books, like the first two books, and the TV series I just found out are on there as well. So if anyone, really wanted to be cursed as well, they are available on YouTube. But I would really highly recommend at least watching the TV movie version. I feel like it's the best version, at least, of the Japanese franchise. So check that out. It has a very interesting take on Sadako that only the Korean version picks up on. But I think it would add an interesting discussion for Sadako in the future and kind of puts her in an interesting sort of queer light, which I think would be fun to talk about further one day. Anywho, goodbye and thank you for everything.
So he's cursed. He has to rewatch all these Rings. Definitely into it.
Yeah, I mean, I could only find one or two of them on YouTube. I didn't find the others, so he must have put in maybe some of the original Japanese or even Korean characters to find some of these. But that's why we didn't do a poll on them, and that's why we just did Ringu essentially. It's because I couldn't guarantee that everyone would be able to see them.
I feel like at this point he's becoming a Ring expert, because he's seen he watched two versions of the TV movie, right? He watched Ringu, he's watched the Korean one, and I know he has plans to watch something else. So
there's two TV shows. Whatever.
Yeah, so he's deep in the Ring.
How's the reading going?
My reading, I am about 25 minutes into that first novel.
25 minutes.
Thank you. I know. So, Alex, what you need to do is provide us with links for all these things that we can share with the audience so everyone can be just as cursed.
Yeah, share with the rest of the class.
And how sexy are we talking? Is it pornographic sexy?
I never thought of Sudoku as sexy.
Well, I think just the movie itself is sexy, right? Or queer. Sudoku. Sudoku is not sexy.
No.
Numbers. Bah. We need links to these things. Share them with us so everyone can watch it.
Well, we got one final voicemail, and I'm not sure quite who this is. Should I just play it?
Yeah, let me hear this.
All right.
This message is for Christopher Nelson. Christopher, this is Officer O'Malley down at the police station. I can't believe I'm having to make this phone call again, but we have been informed that you're up to your old shenanigans again. This time, Christopher, you're caught on camera walking out of an antenna loft with several items for which you neglected to pay. These items included a dusty rose blouse with flouncy sleeves and rose gold buttons, a mother-of-pearl necklace, and a floral wrap. Now, Christopher, we had hoped you'd changed your ways after the incident at the Coles, but it appears that further correction is necessary. Therefore, I have two options for you. You can bring the items down to the station, along with a written apology for Chrissy and Stacy, and the other fine ladies at the loft, or the fellas and I can come by tonight and bring you back in a nice pair of silver bracelets, if you know what I mean. So choose wisely. Oh, and while we're on the subject of your malfeasance, I understand you have plans to go down and razzle up your local Carvana building. Surely I don't have to tell you what a bad idea that is, and why you should not stick your hand up the flap to obtain some extra goodies. Well, that's all I've got for now, Christopher. I better see your ass in my office this afternoon, so we don't have to embarrass you in front of all your neighbors. I wish you and your little gay drunken leprechaun you share a podcast with a pleasant day.
Excuse me? I need another beer.
Little gay drunken leprechaun. Malfeasance.
You heard the man. Take that shit back from Aunt Taylor Loft.
Not my flouted collar.
Your mother a pearl necklace. Give me a break. Oh my God.
Oh, Stacy and the rest of the gals down at the Coles or
down at the Loft.
Anyway, this is all in reference to our
Outtakes
10, if anyone's interested. And no, I did not shoplift from Ann Taylor Loft or Coles. There was a kerfuffle with an unpaid, like my card didn't go through. Anyway, whatever.
I don't think you had to explain.
The manager was calling me on the phone and being like, do you want to go to jail? Calm down, it's Coles.
I'm still waiting for you to shoplift from Ann Taylor Loft, though. I'm just waiting for that phone call. Cannot wait to pick you up from that.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
I needed that. We got some new patrons.
We do.
We got Alex from back in April that we never mentioned, who also gave us that voicemail about all the actuallys about The Ring on YouTube.
That's right. So, Alex, we apologize for missing you back in April. We don't know how you slipped through the cracks, but here we are to say your name. And thank you for the voicemail. Thank you for the comments. He actually has some more comments that'll be coming up on our next Shooting the Flames because they came in just a little under the wire.
Oh, okay.
So he is part of the family and exercising his right to be a part of it.
We also got Ryan King
and Laura O'Malley,
who is joining us over the pond.
That's right. Poundage.
Yeah. And Big Dave, who joined as a film flamer.
Ooh, hey, Big Dave.
Speaking of which, we need to shout out the patrons at the film flamer tier or higher.
And at our Inferno level, we have Kimberly.
And Penelope.
And we also have to mention
Anthony.
Ashley.
Ben.
Big Dave.
GlazedDonut.
Jessica E.
Lisa.
Nikki.
Rosie Red Leader.
And William Skinner.
But especially Big Dave.
But especially Big Dave. Hey, Big Dave.
Horror news.
Mattel's got more movies after Barbie, including a Magic 8-Ball horror movie. Is it really going to be horror?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
So, I mean, like, they're releasing, like, movies based on all their properties.
They could literally do anything with that.
Yeah. I mean, so one of them is a horror movie. It's Magic 8-Ball. I think that everyone's saying based on what they're saying it's going to be one of those PG-13 kind of family horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more gateway horror. But I really, really, really fucking loved Barbie.
Barbie?
And Mattel, like, pretty much let Greta Gerwig do whatever she wanted to with that.
Which is kind of shocking.
Right. You would think that a company like Mattel would be like, no, be reverent to our product or whatever. But they really let her make just a Barbie movie that I wasn't expecting.
Based on how people are talking about it, it's almost like she just like made it and didn't make any like explicit statements. And it's all like takeaways from however you are in the political spectrum or wherever you are in the age spectrum. Right. So like the kids could enjoy it for that level versus adults could enjoy it for theoretically like the political stuff. I feel like the only people that don't like Barbie that I've heard from are the people that haven't seen it.
I mean, that or like,
which is kind of telling.
Like the straight cisgendered guys don't seem to like Barbie, but even like those people that I know have seen this movie liked it. Like Barbie was just a really, really good movie.
I haven't seen it. I want to, but I've also read articles that it's causing this rash of breakups because all the men that would refuse to see it with their girlfriends for like the political weird toxic mask reasons or whatever are the ones that aren't seeing it or whatever, and they're breaking up with them.
Well, good.
Or they watch the movie and for some reason it makes women want to break up with their boyfriends.
Good. I mean, like, feel empowered to if you're not getting what you need.
Is there something in the movie that's breaking up? I don't know. Is the whole movie breaking up with Ken?
The whole movie.
Okay.
Patriarchy and all that. It was really, really good. And so, like, just based on that alone, like, a certain part of me, if I read a headline that talked about a Magic 8-Ball horror movie, I'd be like, that sounds fucking stupid, but having seen Barbie and seeing what Mattel will let people do, I mean, go make a really good gateway horror movie. Do it. I mean, hell, The Ring's PG-13. It's an excellent film. But all signs point to yes, where the fuck the Magic 8-Ball says.
All signs point to maybe.
All signs point to mayhap.
I wish it would say all signs point to in every answer.
Yeah, all signs point to...
Not at this time.
No. Mayhaps not. But hey, we'll see. I mean, bring it on. I think it's the next one in line.
Mm-hmm.
So, in more recent release news, as if Barbie wasn't recent enough, Talk to Me. The filmmakers have already shot an entire prequel based on the film's opening sequence.
And so what they mean by this, like the news articles have really like kind of picked that up.
Yeah.
To think that it's some sort of like X type of situation or Pearl situation. And it's not. They were just doing stuff on the phone. So it's all on phones and web, like Snapchat style stuff or TikTok style stuff for them to use in the movie as the backup stuff. So they did a whole bunch of like seance possession-y kind of stuff with the Talk to Me hand and some other things on social media and stuff. They don't have enough for they might have enough for like a prequel-y type of like teaser-y Easter egg Blu-ray thing. But when talking about an actual sequel, they are in it. They're in it to win it. So if it does well enough, and I don't know how well it's doing. But if it does well enough, then if it has enough legs and A24 wants to do it, or some other place wants to do it, then yeah, the directors really, really want to expand on that universe because they feel like they could go backwards or forwards in time. They could expand on the mythology, all that stuff.
And I think they should. I mean, we've talked at length already in this podcast about Talk to Me. We recently saw it again, right? We went to the theater to see it after we saw it at the Overlook, and it's a good movie. It's still very, very good. It made $10 million opening weekend, right? So it beat expectations that A24 had put out.
Okay.
And I think when we were talking about this way back in our Overlook episode, we even called it like a word of mouth hit, right?
Yeah, but we were also like in a full theater. And like when we went to see it at the AMC, we were like the only ones in there.
Right. Well, that's how...
With an exception of one lady that picked up her cell phone and answered her call in the middle of the fucking movie.
More people walked in than I thought would happen on a Monday night, but I feel like with word of mouth, this movie will do well, right? It still has some time.
I missed that audience reaction,
Yeah, I really wanted to hear like more audience stuff. But the thing is, like, Barbie is what it is right now, and it's just making shit tons of money.
Yeah, the Barbenheimer situation is pretty crazy and good for the theater system, I guess.
I mean, I'm glad. Yeah, but people go see Talk to Me if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Scream 7 is officially a go, and it's going to be directed officially by the same director that did Happy Death Day and Freaky, and his name is Christopher Landon.
That's right. He's one of our most important horror gays.
Oh.
So... bring it on. I really loved Freaky a lot.
I know you did.
I know. And other people who have watched it since then are like, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's really good. Even I liked it a little less on rewatch, but I really liked Freaky. I still haven't seen Happy Death Day, but
I've heard a lot of good things though.
Yeah. I mean, someone I know has recently watched it and liked it quite a bit. And I was like, fuck, I need to watch that movie. Like, I don't know why I just haven't done it yet, but it needs to happen. I like Christopher Landon. I think he makes good films, and I feel like he will bring something to Scream 7, maybe some fresh take to it. And apparently it's supposed to be the end.
Did you almost say Fresh Blood?
I did almost say Fresh Blood.
You should have.
It's a little bit too on the nose. But this is the end of Scream, I guess.
They say this is the end. It's never the fucking end.
No, there'll be more.
Just
there'll be a Scream 8, but
really.
I'm interested to see what he
if not 10 years from now, you know what I mean? As a franchise, they're never going to let it go.
No. As long as it makes money.
Yeah. So, speaking of tired franchises that no one wants any more sequels to, Final Destination 6 is incoming. This is the first sequel in over 10 years.
I like this series of movies, though. This franchise is, I mean, I like them all.
I liked the first one quite a bit. I still think it was ahead of its time and like original.
Yeah.
And the second one I thought was good. Mm-hmm. And the third one was hilarious.
Yes.
I think. And then after that, I just lost track. I didn't know that they were past 4 and 5.
Oh, yeah.
And so 6, I don't know. But they say, they're teasing that it's going to be a slightly different perspective.
Oh,
so that's going to be interesting.
Does it say how?
I don't know. Maybe it's the perspective of death. I don't know.
That would be fun.
Or maybe it's not one of the characters that has survived an incident. And it is assuming that they're still doing that premise, you know, the log jam or the roller coaster or the plane flight, you know. Maybe they'll do it off of the pandemic. And I was like, all these people were supposed, this friend circle was supposed to die of COVID, but they didn't.
My God, that would be so fucking meta and amazing. My God, timely even. I need to know who's making this movie. I mean, if they went back to the original guy, who's also one of our most important horror gays, that would be good. But I really like all the Final Destination movies. I will always be excited to see a new one.
So I know that at least one of the producers is a household name. John Watts is producing.
Who's John?
He did Spider-Man No Way Home and a bunch of others.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. Bring it on. I'll watch it every day of the week. I like when those two girls die in tanning beds. That was one of my favorite deaths from Final Destination.
Oh, yeah. That's the roller coaster one, right? That's the third one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the fun one.
And the pool death is my favorite, too. I like that. Where he gets his, like, butt on the bottom. We'll talk about that later on, off mic. But finally, and sad news to report, Paul Ruebens, who played Pee Wee Herman for many, many years and was involved in many other projects, has passed away. So Paul Ruebens famously played a very funny vampire in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
Yep.
Right. And,
famous death scene.
Yep. And it took forever. And we can't forget that Pee-wee's Big Adventure exists and has one of the most frightening moments in all of cinema when Large Marge like turns to him and makes her fucking like creepy fucking face. Do you remember that?
No.
Like when I was a kid, that scared the shit out of me because she's telling him this story about like the carnage on the street of this like big wreck, right? And Pee-wee's looking all kinds of scared. And she was like, and when they pulled the body out of the wreckage, it looked like this. And it's this Tim Burton Muppety thing going, and when I was a kid, it scared the fuck out of me. Fucking Large Marge. So Paul Ruebens, rest in peace. Large Marge, we'll be seeing you soon. I don't know.
Or he'll be meeting you there. I don't know.
I mean, whatever happens first.
Coming soon.
First off, we've got this Oscar bait called Slaughterhouse, which is in theaters in August. Now, you didn't hear me wrong. I didn't say Slaughterhouse. I said Slaughterhouse because it is a killer sloth. And this trailer is shockingly good what this is. It's not like Jaws of the Corn or whatever the fuck it was.
Stephen King's Sharks of the Corn.
Yeah, no. This seems very deep dive worthy.
I mean, for sure. Like, okay, so I put this movie on the docket without seeing the trailer. Like, I literally just watched it before we were recording this. And I was just like, oh, I'll totally watch this movie. And not even ironically, like I kind of want to see it.
Well, it's a shockingly good trailer for whatever the fuck this is. It looks good.
I mean, that little Muppety sloth looks super cute.
Well, yes. And they're trying to like make it look menacing in the dark with shadows and then like you do like low angles on it or behind the shower curtain or whatever, but it's only cute ever.
You can't make a sloth look uncute. They're always like smiling at you.
Janice Muppet hair like on it.
I mean, at one point in this trailer, y'all, it seems to smother a victim with a shower loofah. So, I mean, like, come on. Next up, we have a trailer for a movie called Medusa Deluxe from A24, also coming out in August.
Yeah, I think this is going to come out everywhere. I don't know if it's going to be in theaters, but it's going to be, whatever. It says available everywhere.
I mean, this looks fun. I mean, it's horror adjacent for sure with capital A.
It's like hairdressers competition.
Yeah.
But someone keeps bagging people to death.
I mean, it looks funny and it looks a little queer, which I'm down with, So like bring it on A24. I'll watch Medusa Deluxe.
Yeah.
Those hair competitions this thing is like modeled on are fucking crazy. Though.
Yeah. I've seen some of that.
Some of the shit they do.
But they look like they have some legit design in this movie and it does feel A24. It kind of feels like The Dress a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
A little tiny bit less quirky. I don't know.
Maybe
more fun and less quirky. I don't know.
But definitely, I mean, like when it comes time for the Oscars and they have to do like hair and makeup, sheesh, this is probably going to be up there.
Next up, we've got Saw 10 or Saw X, which is in theaters in September. And again, I was shocked to see that we are already on Saw 10, right? I only watched like the first 2 or 3, I think.
Same.
And I stopped after 3. After the pool of, or the vat of needles that they had to like jump into, I was kind of done. And I had no idea that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 existed. I've seen posters and seen releases, and always I'm kind of shocked that it continues. And so soon, like without breaks, like this has been going on for 20 years. And now they're at Saw 10. And so that means they've essentially made one every 2 years since 20 years ago.
I mean, it's a popular franchise. People still go see it in the theater. It makes money, right?
Yeah.
So of course they're going to make them. But again, yeah, like I totally lost interest. The thing is, this trailer looks way better than what
This
I
trailer
was
looks
expecting.
great.
Yeah.
And it's a prequel too. So I feel like it's very smartly makes it accessible to the people that trailed off of the series. Because I remember the premise of the first three.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember, especially the first one. And I remember that actress, and I remember, the main bad guy actor or whatever. And I remember the premise of his like surgery or whatever. And so this is a prequel. Mm-hmm. And so they've made him look like he did back then somehow. And the use of song, and maybe just a great trailer. But for whatever this is, shockingly, it's a great trailer.
I mean, I would probably watch this movie.
Yeah.
Although when I heard that they were making it, I immediately discounted it. Now that I've seen this, I'm like, okay, maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
And there is. I mean, I feel like the retribution or the beginning of his like serial killer-esque career is here, and I'm down for that. I mean, he's getting some comeuppance against like the medical professionals that wronged him. So good prequel. Looks like a good movie. Next up, we have another season of Castlevania on Netflix coming out in September, and this one's called Nocturne.
Yeah, it's actually a separate show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Castlevania ended a year or two ago, maybe 3 years ago. I don't know. It was super fucking awesome. I'm normally not someone that runs to go see any kind of animation. And certainly, not even then, not into super like Japanimation type of situation or anime. And, but I really got into Castlevania, which maybe get into like Blood of Zeus and some of the other things that are coming out on Netflix by the same kind of studio, but it's super fucking gory, super really well written, great characterization, great philosophy on like the nature of good and evil in these shows. They're talking about evil and good as choices versus nature, including with like vampires and stuff. So kind of Anne Rice area. There's like the gay itch with, the powdered wigs and lewd type of situation. Very queer in parts. Super, probably the most gore and horrific horror moments of anything I've seen in years in the Castlevania show. And so this is a new show. I think it's a prequel called Nocturne, and the trailer's pretty good. I don't know. It's kind of keeping things close to the chest, and they're keeping kind of the horror a little bit, but you do see some gore in the trailer.
Yeah.
So anyway, check it out. If you haven't already seen Castlevania, do so. It's an easy binge.
Is it called Castlevania Nocturne?
No, it's just called Castlevania.
No, I know, but this one.
This one's called Castlevania Nocturne. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Next up is kind of like what we just talked about, which was a show that is, well, in this case, it's still going on, but Castlevania had ended. Mm-hmm. And so now they're doing like kind of like a different series from a different perspective. I don't know that this is a prequel series because it's called Gen V, based on, I guess, Compound V, which is what they give to all these people as babies to have superpowers. But the public doesn't really know that, I guess. And so this is like the high school, I guess, prep, I don't know, college prep for superheroes. And it looks very gory and interesting, just like The Boys. Edgy, horror comedy. Yeah.
This does look good. I mean, I feel like it's very New Mutancy, and I was very excited for New Mutants. And while I don't dislike that movie, like when they start making things that are kind of like that, I'm like, well, this is what it could have been,
Yeah. And I have no basis for what Gen V is supposed to be, right? Versus I have a very good idea of what New Mutants was supposed to be because I'm a comics fan. Technically, The Boys is also a comic, but Gen V is like original material, I think, based on that universe.
I kind of like the idea, and I always do, like of like super powered young people like being taught and schooled together. Like I just like the idea of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it looks good. So
yeah, it looks like the main character can control blood,
her own blood and shit,
her own blood and others,
and use it as a whip.
Yeah.
Like
she can cut people with it and everything. And then she apparently exploded someone's dick by exploding the blood inside his dick. So that's fun.
Oh my God, it's the worst hot on ever. Next up, we have a movie called The Kill Room, which is coming out in theaters in September. This movie stars Uma Thurman, Sam Jackson, et al., including a Hawk.
Maya Hawke.
Maya Hawke is in this with her mom, right? And I feel like this is a good return to form for Uma Thurman.
I haven't seen her in a while.
It's been a bit. And it seems like she's back to her like knowing wink acting style and whatnot, because she seems really fun in this.
She does. It kind of reminds me of this whole thing reminds me of that Netflix show that came out back in 2018 or 2019 movie that we saw about art.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was like, I can't save you or whatever. So
with the Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. And who was the main chick in that? That was from Hereditary, right?
Yeah. Like the art dealer in that movie was Toni Collette.
Yeah. So her character in this reminds me of Toni Collette.
A little bit. Yeah.
So it's like it could have been the same. So she's kind of doing a Toni Collette thing. So I don't know. I want another Kill Bill movie.
Well, after that Music League, I would like to have one as well. We're not going to get one, at least not from Tarantino.
No.
But at least, having a line in the trailer was like, I know that money laundering is a crime, but murder? Come on. That's fun.
Yeah.
It's a stacked cast. So
it is. Looks fun.
I'm here for this.
Yeah. And that's in theaters in September. Next up, we've got The Exorcist Believer. This is the fourth Exorcist movie, as far as I know, unless you count the Exorcist prequels, in which case it would be the sixth.
1, 2,
in this
3,
franchise?
4, 5. This would be the sixth one, yes.
Yeah. So this is in theaters in October, which I thought we would have been getting more trailers for things coming out in October by now.
Yeah. Well, this one, it seemed like it wrapped not too long ago, and they have hurriedly, I feel like, edited this movie. They may have edited the trailer before it's even finished completely.
Yeah, I don't know, but it looks okay to me.
Yeah. It looks like a non-offensive, like, Exorcist continuation.
I don't know. I don't have full faith in this director after seeing what he did in the last 3 Halloween movies. There's some great, there's some horrible in them, right? It's just not consistent. And so if he's trying to go, this is 2 points are aligned, not a pattern, but he's going to these other franchises and bringing the old actresses back is what he's doing with Jamie Lee Curtis and now whatever her name is. Ellen Bernstein, who is an amazing actress. I just don't want her to, maybe he's going to go to Terminator next, or maybe he's going to go to the Alien franchise next. He's good at getting these things off the ground and getting the actresses back. But I'm like, find someone that can make him produce or something and like get Neil Blomkamp in there, fucking James Cameron again. I don't fucking care.
Or just stop altogether.
Or just stop.
He's
not responsible for getting Linda Hamilton back for the stupid Terminator movie that just came out.
This movie seems fine. I feel like they give a lot away in the trailer. And this is one of those instances where I'd rather have not seen a trailer to begin with, because I will see this movie regardless of what the trailer is or what the buzz is like. Because I like The Exorcist. I like that franchise. I've seen them all. And I will watch this one too. But I was just like, okay, like none of it seems fresh really to me.
Well, they're forgetting like what we would describe now maybe as like the Spielbergian quality of these movies being about something that they're really not, or at least having a separate movie kind of in the subtext. Right. And so all these sequels have something to do with just focusing on the exorcism. They're just focusing on the demon or whatever. Versus if you look at the original movie, a lot of it's about the priest and like his own issues with his mother and that whole subtext going on, which was some of the scariest moments of the movie.
Agreed.
Outside of the room with the actual exorcism happening, and so it was kind of layered. And that's what these sequels have been missing, with the exception of maybe Exorcist 3 a little bit.
I feel like at this point, David Gordon Green is just like saying, what franchise can we reboot to make money? You know what I mean? And then you look at like recognizable horror franchises that are easily rebootable.
It feels like he's having a career and not having an artistic moment.
Exactly. So, like that first Halloween reboot, I liked. Everything else after that, hit or miss, right? And then The Exorcist is also supposed to be another like trilogy of movies that he's making. And I'm like, I hope to God that these movies haven't already been greenlit.
I really
Let's see what the first one's like first.
Exactly. And I'm hoping that this isn't going to end on like, some sort of, cliffhanger, because it already looks very straightforward. It looks like, okay, there's an exorcist. There's a girl that gets possessed. Exorcism happens. They call in the big guns. Instead of Father Merrin, it's, Ellen Bernstein and so on and so forth. But this time there's two, you know what I mean? It almost feels like it was supposed to be the sequel.
Yeah.
Which is what they did with Halloween.
I feel like he's probably going to be retconning some things in this.
I'm sure. You know, what happened to Linda Blair? Oh, she died, I'm like, fuck you.
This is his shtick at this point.
Yeah.
So I very much like Nicole said in her comment, like I'm cautiously optimistic for this, because trailers have proved me wrong in the past, even recently. And like maybe it's going to turn out to be a very frightening, very good horror movie. I think that it has a lot to live up to, maybe a hell of a lot more than Halloween as far as just like cinema goes. But I don't know, if you're trying to top, you know, a Friedkin Exorcist, then I mean, I just don't think that can happen.
If he owns a gun and he's firing it on set, then maybe there's hope.
If only he's traumatizing those child actors. we could only wish. Guys, I think that just about wraps up this very long, extended anniversary edition of Shooting the Flames. As always, we like your comments and questions and emails and such. You can find us on social media at The Film Flamers on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and X.
That feels weird.
I know.
You can also email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com, or you can call our hotline at
972-666-7733.
Step into my slaughterhouse.
Shake my magic 8 balls. Wait, don't shake them.
Not at this time.
Fondle. We like those reviews. Head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us one. We're rated on Shooting the Flames. And head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers. Get all of our bonus content. Join the family. We have some coming out for you this month because we are talking about what, Chris?
We were talking about Prey
and Predator
to kick us off on that franchise for a summer blockbuster. And I think we might be covering Predator 2 over on Patreon, or giving our patrons a poll to decide which sequel to the Predator franchise we should cover.
Yep. So head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers. Like I said, vote in that possible poll and hear all the bonus episode that's already there for you.
Well, Robert.
Yes, Chris.
I think it's time for me to turn this fucking air conditioner back on, because this has been a long ass recording and it's 110 degrees outside and it's going to be about 95 in here.
That's right. We are just right smack in the middle of a fucking sweat lodge.
Goddamn wigwam.
But this is what we do for 5 years in a wigwam.
Right.
All right, everybody. Let's go off and have some
sweet dreams. I'm turning it on right now.
Right meow.
Oh, God. Blessed air. Open your flap.
Open your flap. Blow into my slaughterhouse.
Give me your gentle zephyr.